my grandfather gave me an Olympus camera. There's a great community around it, which I really liked. I feel like you can get a lot more creative with the rule of thirds.
Okay.
Do you ever have an opportunity to live in New York City in the summertime?
Yeah.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome to Dorman 101 Podcast, the podcast that has everything and nothing to do about college. I am your girl, Maya Gittins.
And I'm your girl, Victoria.
And today we have a guest with us from Hofstra University. He also did Slam Magazine. So we have Evan in the building with us today. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, Hofstra alum. Hofstra.
Hofstra. We were literally sitting here debating, like, okay, how do I say it? Hofstra? I was like, I don't know if I'm going to say it correctly, so we're just going to figure it out.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
Thank you. So tell us about your college experience.
Yeah, so I graduated from Hofstra back in May. I was a marketing major, so I was in the business school. And I went into school, like, obviously with a passion for photography. And, you know, I think I wanted to pursue it full time, like, when I went to school. But I didn't really have a direction with it. Like, at first I was, honestly, I don't even remember what I was mostly taking photos of. At one point I was like, I want to be a car photographer. I want to be a dog photographer. Like, I went through the whole thing. And then I landed on sports, and that's the direction I took.
Okay, so how has that experience been, like, in a sense, obviously saying jumping from dog photographer and obviously being in sports now, what is your goal kind of coming into, like, that sports photography world?
Yeah, like a goal for the future? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, like, ever since I got into sports photography and I was like, okay, this direction I want to take, I guess, like, the ultimate dream is kind of to be, like, the house photographer for, like, an NBA arena. So, like, Barclays Center, TD Garden, like, so I would, you know, typically shoot, like, the home team that's there and then the concerts too and everything around it, photos for, like, marketing or whatever. That's, like, you know, big dream.
It can happen. It definitely can happen for sure. So, like, obviously with photography, I always see, and we were talking about earlier, like 505 podcasts, and I know, like, they're based on photography and stuff like that. Is there anything specific that you use when, like, editing videos or, like, well, not videos, pictures and stuff like that, like, software wise? Is there, like, one that you're like, this is the go-to?
Yeah, so I use the Adobe Creative Suite. So, like, Lightroom, Photoshop. Mainly all my time is spent in Lightroom. But it depends, like, what you're doing. So I've met a lot of people who work for Getty Images. And that's more, like, editorial. And, like, you have to shoot JPEG. You can't, like, manipulate the photo too much. So Getty actually has their own proprietary software, but they use Photo Mechanic and like Camera Raw. They edit in Photoshop. So everybody has, like, their different workflows, but for mostly what I do is just Lightroom.
And what camera do you shoot with?
I'm on Sony. Same thing you guys use here.
Okay.
So what is the difference? Like, do you feel like, and I feel like this is a question that all photographers run into when people ask, is do you see a difference in Canon and Sony?
At the end of the day, they're all tools.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I know people on social media, it's like, you know, you got to be loyal to your camera brand and all that stuff. And, like, you know, that's great if you're, like, I mean, obviously, if you're a Sony ambassador, like, you gotta stay on it. I know all the Getty photographers have a partnership with Canon, so they use Canon gear. But, like, at the end of the day, they're all tools. And what's great is that they're all, like, fighting against each other to push technology as far as they can. And that it's great for us because, you know, the highest end tech gets trickled down into, like, the cheaper bodies and all that stuff. So we just end up getting the best of everything. But I love the Sony system. I think I was actually going to switch to Canon at one point. But I got a lens for Sony, which is why I stayed with Sony.
Okay.
But yeah, I like it.
You like Sony?
And how did like you like really like get into photography? Like when did you first like pick up a camera?
Yeah. So actually, like when I was a little kid and I had like my iPod, I would
Oh, the iPod.
it all started with the iPod.
Yeah.
I would just like take photos of stuff, and I was like, looking back on it now, like as a 22-year-old, I was like, I had the grid lines in there, and I would like do like composition stuff, and like I didn't know what I was doing back then, but like now that I know what I'm doing, I was like, wow, I was doing that back then. So it all started, I guess, with that, and then my grandfather gave me an Olympus camera, which was like my first camera, and I remember in middle school / high school, I think mostly high school, I would just like get bored and was in my room, and I just had like this drive to just like figure out how this thing worked, and I would just like touch all the buttons and be like, what does this do? What does this do? And just play around with it.
Yeah.
And like that was like how I got into it, and I just started like taking photos of random stuff, and then I got into like the whole YouTube learning photography, so that also drove that passion.
Okay, so obviously, you just finished at Slay Magazine. How was that experience working there?
I loved it. So I did my fall semester, and then they took me back in the spring, and that ended in May. And now I'm doing like freelance work for them. So I just covered the And One open runs, which was down in Coney Island.
Oh.
So yeah, just doing freelance stuff. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I get to do a cover shoot one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've gotten to work with a lot of. I did 2 photo shoots with collegiate athletes at the office when they came by. That was fun. I covered March Madness.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Which was fun. I've gotten to cover NBA games, WNBA games. I covered the WNBA finals.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I think game 3 and game 4, they were at the Barclays Center. Yeah, just like a great experience overall.
Yeah. So like obviously being in photography and just kind of like, I feel like photography, you obviously like learn as you go, and like, you're learning new things, new techniques. Is there any technique right now that you're like using in a sense of like camera settings that you keep your camera in when you're shooting?
Yeah. So like shooting for Slam, I'm shooting basketball. And the great thing with basketball is it's in a gym with constant lighting.
Okay.
So like once you know your settings in there, like you're good.
Okay.
You got it. You can just like keep going back to it. But I remember like when I first started shooting for Slam, and I was in the Barclays Center or MSG, I like did my edit, and I was like, oh, this looks good. And then like it took me like three times, 3 games to like get back there and be like, oh, and then I like redialed it in, and now I got it set. So I think my stuff looks good.
I saw your portfolio. I was like doing some research, and I was like, oh wow, this looks really good. So I like the work. I definitely want to know my biggest thing, obviously, like with your internship, and I feel like I struggle with it. Is definitely like that interview process.
Yeah.
How was that interview process for you?
So in the fall, well, okay, so to back up,
Okay.
I was going into my senior year that summer, looking for internship stuff to do. And I actually applied for the Slam internship, like kind of not like really thinking about it too much.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an unpaid internship, so I was like, I don't know, but like might as well apply. And so I had an interview with Jaylene, who's the head of people and culture there.
Okay.
And that was in the fall. And like I don't remember too much from it, but like they were kind of just like, yeah, you seem like a good fit. Like you seem you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it was pretty like I don't know.
Pretty easy.
It was I don't want to say it was like easy, but like I don't know. They recognized that like I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
So it was I want to say it was like seamless.
Okay. That's a good word.
Yeah. So then in the fall, I was under one manager, and then in the spring he actually left the company.
Okay.
So I was under a new manager, and I'd met him during the fall. His name is Max. He's a great guy.
Okay.
Amazing manager. And yeah, it was just like it wasn't difficult, but it was just like something to navigate switching managers. But like pretty seamless.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I'm really interested because like obviously I used to do photography when I was like a kid. I remember like
With the iPod too.
yeah, like I remember my brother had gotten me a camera and I used it for a little bit. You know when like you're younger, you like get stuff and like you're like, all right, this is it. Like I did that a lot. Did you feel like there was anything else growing up that you like tried besides photography that like you thought you would do, or was it like photography all the way from jump? Because me, I wanted to be an athlete, but that totally didn't work out.
I thought I would be like a YouTube gamer. I was very into video games. And I was like, I'm gonna do this full time. Like I'm gonna make videos. And yeah, no.
Absolutely not.
I wasn't good enough, and like it just like as I got older, it didn't appeal to me as much.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we all like have those like moments where it's just like, oh, this is gonna work.
No,
and it's
seriously.
Like, nah.
I tried photography. I tried softball. I tried basketball.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just sitting there like, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get older. Like, I had that feeling of like not knowing exactly. And it's interesting to see other people's like experience and kind of seeing like there's a lot of people who are like, no, like I knew I was gonna do this since I was 9.
Yeah.
And there's some people that's like, I'm still trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah.
Me. So it's interesting.
Have you like, all right, being that like you been doing photography for so long, have you ever had like a moment where you felt like, damn, like nothing's happening and it's not working, and tried something else and then went back to it? Or like
I would say like yes and no. Obviously, like I said before, like I didn't have a direction with photography. So I tried like you know, I was like, I want to be a dog photographer. I wanted to be an automotive photographer. And like, and then just like I tried sports, and I was like, I think I'm good at this, and like I liked it a lot. And there's just like there's a great community around it, which I really liked. But yeah, like once I got into photography, I never really put it down, and like obviously I've felt a lot of feelings of like I can't do this forever, or like I'm not good enough, all that stuff. Everyone feels that, but like I've never just completely like put it down and was like, let me try this other thing. I was always like, I'm gonna keep at it.
Yeah.
And was slam like your first time doing basketball, or did you like do it in high school? Or
So no, I never shot sports until college. Shooting Hofstra basketball was my first time. I started doing that my sophomore year. And yeah, that was my first time shooting basketball. I was never actually like growing up. I was never into sports actually, which I find funny. Now I'm like super into it.
Yeah.
especially being from the Boston area, like all the kids from my high school were like super into the Boston sports because, you know, they win. But yeah, I was never into it.
Well, how you feel now that the Celtics win?
Oh, I literally cried.
No, you did not.
I watched it. I literally cried.
Oh my goodness. Well, she is a Knicks fan.
I'm a Knicks fan, yeah.
A Knicks fan.
But
it's okay.
No, I like the Knicks.
I was rooting for you guys though.
Yeah. No, like, seriously.
You know,
I was rooting for you guys because I wanted to play. I wanted to play.
No, yeah, I seen like all like the TikToks from everybody, and Boston's like, we want the Knicks. We want the Knicks. And I'm like, I was like, okay, we play the Celtics. I know we were gonna lose, but I was like, we have a chance. So.
Yeah. I feel
but
like
then when we did lose, I was like,
Yeah.
Celtics, I want them to take it all the way.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to play the Knicks because I would have been able to cover it at MSG like that.
Yeah.
I would have. Oh my god.
Died.
I just wanted to see what the ticket prices would be too.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, let me tell y'all, we were looking at the ticket prices like during playoff season for the Knicks.
Yeah.
Me and my brother, the floor seats were like $14K. Like they were absolutely insane.
Yes.
And I was like, and people are gonna pay for these tickets.
It was crazy because when they were against Philly, I was like looking whatever. So I looked at Madison first. Madison was outrageous. So I was like, no. So
like
then I looked at Philly because Philly's right there. It was like 160.
Yeah.
I was like, are you serious?
A lot of Knicks fans traveled down.
Yeah.
Of course. Because
they
took over.
And easier.
The Philly, I forget who, but like some Philly people like bought out tickets for Philly fans, so the Knicks fans
because it got so serious.
That's insane.
Yeah, they wanted all the.
But
Philly
it's like
fans.
I feel like with those fan bases, like you need to like be showing out for your team.
Oh yeah.
So it's like the Knicks, like you're right there, we're showing up or whatever. So it's like Philly, what are you doing? Like why are you not showing up for your team?
No, seriously, that was when I was watching that game. It was so intense. I feel like basketball season overall, like I'm definitely a football person. Out of everything, but even when I watch like March Madness, I'm a Duke fan, so when I watch it, I'm just like, oh my goodness, like look at what's going on, especially when it gets to finals, because that's where obviously like it all counts, and I'm just like, oh, this is gonna be intense. I'm not gonna lie, even the hockey game that just happened, the fact that it was 3-0, 3-0, Florida was up 3-0, and then here comes the Oilers. 3-3, and then they lose yesterday. But I'm not gonna lie, Florida hasn't won a Stanley Cup, so
I wanted Oilers to win though, because they beat my Bruins like 2 years in a row, right? They beat them this year. Yeah.
Dang.
I was upset.
I knew Florida kind of like had it because I was like, I always say they will never let a team lose at home.
Yeah.
That's like. I don't know if that's just a rule, but like you cannot, especially like a game like that, you can't lose at home.
Yeah.
That is just not, you can't do that. So when I saw it and I was like, oh, it was such a close game though. Like McLeod with the first shot, like I was sitting there like, oh crap. Like that was intense. That was absolutely intense. I'm not gonna lie.
I stopped watching the Stanley Cup series after the Bruins lost.
Yeah.
It was done.
He's like, if my team's not in there, I'm done.
Literally, no one.
Actually, no, I watched a bit of the Rangers.
Yeah, I was watching because I'm not even like a hockey fan, but
there was one game. It was like triple OT, double or triple OT.
I think yeah. But I was like only watching it for that. I'm like New York team. Like I've been to like Rangers games before and stuff, but I don't keep up with it. Yeah. But I'm like, if it's from New York, they gotta win.
No, seriously, that's listen. Even though the New York Islanders are at UBS and stuff, they're still New York, okay? Like, but I feel like every team, has like those diehard fans, and it's so interesting to see. Like, even when you go out of state, you go to Boston, like you go to these places, and they are like, they see you with a different jersey on, they are. Like the side eye. It's so crazy. Like I know a friend, she lives in Boston, and she was like recording, and I was like, holy cow. The way that the streets were like crowded, nobody could move in. Yeah. I was like,
you didn't try going out there in Boston
for the parade?
Yeah,
I couldn't. I had work.
Damn. Okay. He's putting the work though.
I really wanted to.
Would you ever move like back if an opportunity came?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like so after I graduated, I moved to New York. I I wanted to move back to Boston. It's just like there's not a whole lot of opportunities, at least that I found, that were available out there. There's a good scene for sports photography, obviously, but I feel like New York was a better choice for now, at least.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Even for me being from North Carolina, I definitely feel like New York is one of those places where like it's the place to network, it's the place to meet people and stuff like that. Like I feel like there's certain places where you go and you're kind of like wondering like, okay, am I gonna meet this person? I feel like New York, you bump into somebody.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter where you go. It could be like at the most random event that you weren't gonna go to, and you're like, you might meet the son or daughter of a place. Like you just never know.
Yeah, you never know
in New York.
Yeah.
That's one thing about it, is like you just never know who you might bump into.
Yeah.
And that's something that I absolutely love about New York. But I'm not a fan of the traffic, but it's okay. But other than that, like I really enjoy it.
You drive in the city?
Yeah. I
Why?
I know. I just can't take the train. Like, you can even ask Victoria, like I just have this like anti no train, no bus, and I will not take it. I get
not
so
even the
nervous.
Bus?
I get so nervous.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, you know, there's a reason behind it.
Yeah, there's a
reason behind it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like living here now? Because like you just moved.
Yeah,
and
I moved
stuff.
like 2 weeks
is
ago.
it different from
No
Boston?
way.
Like,
Yeah.
because New York is fast, so it's like,
Yeah.
is it different from Boston? Like, how is that transition?
So, I mean, I grew up in like the suburbs, so this is like this is my first experience living like in a city. I'm in Brooklyn, so like I don't think I would want to live in Manhattan. I feel like it's just like I don't know, it's too much.
Yeah.
Brooklyn's a little more like
Yeah.
comparatively, but like I love it, especially like if you ever have an opportunity to live in New York City in the summertime,
Yeah.
do it.
Right.
Just do it. It's awesome.
No, seriously, because just imagine like
Right.
somebody saying like, oh, like move to New York and we'll pay for everything. I am hopping on the plane and I am out of here. Just find where you want to live. Or like I know in the South they do well with like giving people the opportunity to like relocate. I know they do that, but I feel like in New York there's just so many places, so many opportunities that you could just. I've been seeing some like really nice apartments in New York, and I'm like, where is that at?
Yeah.
Because I look at prices, and I'm like, there's no way that it's $1,400 to live in a high rise loft with that type of view.
Yeah.
But that is.
How are you doing it before? Because you just moved and you said that you were here last semester for Slam. So how was like what was like the commute?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
before?
so I was out in school in Long Island.
Okay.
I wouldn't commute to the office like every day.
Yeah.
They're based in Long Island City. Like it would cost like what $25, $30 just to, like for one day to take the Long Island Railroad into. So I didn't go in every day because like I can't afford that.
Yeah.
But I would go into the office like I don't know, maybe twice a week. And then like I'd come into the city to cover games. And stuff like that. But yeah, like I did as much as I could. Because my last semester I was only taking 2 classes. So I had a lot of free time.
Yeah.
So I came in more to the office. And that's like being in the office, that's how you get the most out of it.
Yeah.
Because what they found is like it's a little bit tough to like find work for interns to do if they're remote.
Right.
So you got to be in the office as much as you can.
Yeah.
You get the most out of it. You get to meet everybody, network.
Yeah, that is true.
That's usually the advice. Like I would say too, like do it in person because remote, like you're not getting. I've done a remote internship before, and I was like, I don't feel like I got a lot out of this, like and I'd rather be somewhere where I'm in person, I'm connecting with people and stuff, and it's like it's more genuine rather than over like online.
Yeah,
so
that is very true.
It's definitely tough to be remote because like I feel like I don't know. You can like I don't know. You don't really like know who somebody is.
Yeah. You're looking at a screen, like you don't get to really like connect with the people around you and stuff like that. And when you do come in, sometimes they forget who you are because you don't come in that often.
Yeah.
So I definitely can understand that being in person seems to be the best benefit, especially if you're obviously in sports, entertainment, especially entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
If you're entertainment, like, you have to be in person.
My friend actually, he's interning at 300.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
And he lives like, he takes the bus to the internship every day or 4 times a week, and he lives like 2 hours away. But he goes in every day.
That's crazy. Okay, so I used to be an intern at Atlantic. I just finished this spring, and I literally met a kid, and he was traveling all the way from DC, taking the bus.
And that's what I mean by, like,
that's
take
how
the opportunity.
that's like dedication.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you're traveling all this way.
Yeah.
People are gonna notice it. Like you know, you just gotta put the work in and stuff.
No, seriously. Okay, so next we have a game.
Okay.
The game is called This or That.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you questions, obviously, based on you being a photographer.
Okay.
And you're going to have to pick between this or that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I have to give like a reason, or just am I just
It depends. If it's one of those where it's like, no, like, let me explain, you can.
Okay.
If not, you don't have to.
Okay.
Which, digital or film?
Digital.
Ooh. Look.
But like, okay, digital for work.
Okay.
As a way to like not burn out from working. Like, I know a lot of photographers do this too. I like to go on just like photo walks and just take photos or whatever. I use a Polaroid.
Okay.
So like that's film.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
He was like, hold on. But okay. Landscape or portrait?
The orientation.
Yeah.
Portrait.
Okay. Black or white or color?
Color.
Okay. Which we know this one. Golden hour or blue hour?
Golden hour.
Okay. What's the difference?
So, blue hour. I really should like know this. Blue hour, I believe, is either right before or after twilight.
Okay. That's what I thought it was. Okay.
So it's like it's after sunset, and like everything is blue.
Blue. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, because every time I see it, I'm like, I feel, when I looked it up, that's what it said, and I was like, are you sure? I was like, let me actually ask somebody who's in it. High concentration or soft tones? Sorry, contrast, not concentration.
I was gonna say, do you mean contrast?
High contrast.
High contrast for sure.
Okay. And then the last one is, do you use rule of thirds or center?
Thirds.
Okay. Interesting. That's actually pretty interesting. Because like even seeing like other photographers and stuff and like kind of like watching them do certain things on cameras, it's interesting to see everybody's different techniques. Everybody's like is very unique. I feel like anybody behind the camera has their own way of doing things, and everybody tells a different story.
Yeah.
Behind the camera.
Yeah, so. I definitely feel that. I think, yeah. Well, what you're saying, like with the rule of thirds and center, I feel like you can get a lot more creative with the rule of thirds.
Okay.
And it's also just like, there's a lot behind the rule of thirds, but it helps with framing.
Okay.
Generally.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, our last but not least, what would be 3 pieces of advice you would give to somebody who is in college and in photography or looking to, work in photography or sports in photography?
Yeah. First piece of advice I would say is just try like anything. Just do it. Like, I feel like, especially when you're in college, like you're either, hopefully you leave college knowing what you want to do and who you are. Like, 'cause when you're in college, like, you're trying to figure out what you want to do, obviously, but you also got to like figure out who you are as a person. And I feel like the way you do that is just try things. Like, you don't really know what you like or don't like unless you try it. So just
that is true.
Literally try it. I've had like a lot of opportunities where I was just like, why would I do this? I don't know if I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
Or like, I know I won't like it, but like I still tried it because I don't know. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Just try it.
That is very true.
Second piece of advice in college. I guess this goes with the first one, but just like say yes to anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goes along with trying things, but just like I've had a lot of opportunities. Like I had the opportunity to shoot a wedding, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah.
Long hours. It's not like my thing, but I did it anyway. And I got a great portfolio out of it, so I can do it in the future. And I actually enjoyed it. So
look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Say yes to anything. Third piece of advice. Man.
I know it's tough when you think about it. You're like, wow, like, or somebody, like I said, somebody who's like in photography as well.
Yeah.
Look, connect with him now.
Yeah. Or I think another thing too, like even like students that want to come to New York and do an internship or college and stuff, because I feel like a lot of people want to like move out here and stuff. So like, what would be your advice for them?
That like just want to move to New York and like
they're
work in
like
sports.
They're thinking about doing college in New York or like thinking about moving for like an internship, and it's like they're just stuck on like, what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, you really, in my experience, the industry is very, obviously you have to have a foundation of skills, and you have to have like a solid foundation of what you can do, how you can provide value to whoever you need to, and just who you are. I forgot what I was saying.
You're all good. There's somebody moving to New York.
Yeah. Oh, where was I going with that?
It be like that. Every time I talk, I'm like,
yeah.
Victoria, clean that up, please.
No, just yeah, I remember. Okay. It's a very like who you know industry. You have to have a foundation of like your skill set and everything, how you can provide value, but it's just like who you know. So just like you just gotta be outgoing and just like meet everybody. Like I was out at an event recently working, and I just met like a bunch of other creatives there, and one of them like put me on to some other people, and it's just like it just snowballs from there.
Yeah.
Also, I would also say if you're working in the creative industry, it's funny how it works out, because like you can kind of think of it as like this person's my competition that's in the same field as you, but like don't think of them as like they're your competition. Like make friends with those people.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you surround yourself with people who do the same thing as you, like you all grow together.
Yeah.
And I've also like some of my best friends do the same thing I do.
Oh wow.
So just like don't think of other people in the industry as competition. Like just befriend them and like, because you're all working towards the same goal.
Yeah.
So, you all want to build each other up.
Yeah.
You're all gonna, let's say like I get an opportunity for something and I can't make it. I'm gonna give it to my buddy,
That makes sense.
That's very true.
Wow.
I feel like they always tell you like, connect with someone that's the biggest in the room, which we had, I think it was JV that's what you want to connect with, someone that's the biggest in the room, but it's also you want to connect with the person that's next to you, because you never know where they're going to be in like a year or two, or like, at the end of the day, like you said, like if I can't make it to somewhere, you could put that person on, or like, it's a very like, what's the word?
Yeah, no, it's very important to just like connect with your peers.
Yeah.
You don't want to be, because people also like will like see that you're like, I'm only gonna talk to like the important people in the room and like that's kind of, you're just like social climbing.
Yeah.
You want to, connect with your peers.
Yeah.
For sure. Mm-hmm. No, seriously.
Yeah, and everyone's like path is different too. So like, let's say you go and you work for the Nets or like the Celtics or whatever, and then your friend goes and works for the Knicks or whatever, and then it's like you guys have connections on both sides, and you guys come together. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
No, seriously, it's definitely an industry of who you know, but definitely not putting yourself on a I wouldn't call it a delay, but more so of like, in a sense, a delay where you're sitting there and you're telling people, oh, well, like, I need to know the CEO. Like, no, because the CEO probably doesn't care that much. And because you're not really helping him specifically, you're going to be helping the manager. You're going to be helping the assistant. Like, those are the people that you're eventually going to have to connect with because, those are the people that you're going to help the most. Obviously, it's his company or his business, but definitely, like, knowing people where you guys can help each other out and grow together. I think that's the best thing to do. Because in the long run, like, you just never know, like she said, like, what can happen. Yeah. Like, at all. So.
Yeah, and I've known people who, like, have, like, bigger egos and, like, people see through that. And, people who have those, like, bigger egos, they end up, like, not getting work. Yeah.
And this industry is full of it.
Full of it.
Full of egos.
Full. Top to bottom.
Yeah. I think even too, like, the way, like, me and Maya connected and stuff, like, we both started off as interns and stuff. And, like, now we're on, like, 2 different paths and stuff, but we could always collab with each other and stuff. And, look, now we have a podcast.
Literally.
Yeah. I think it's also important to just, like, once you're in the sports industry, you got to realize, like, obviously there's some downsides to it. Like we were talking earlier, like long hours, weekends, all that stuff. Holidays. But like, if you really like it, you get to do like I talk to people and they're like, you get to work in sports. Like you get to go on the Knicks court, like super cool stuff. Like you just gotta, once you're in it, you gotta just be appreciative of it and like express your gratitude towards it because people also will see that and like they'll know you're very passionate about it, and people also like to see that you're like very grateful for where you are.
Yeah.
Seriously. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, when I go back today, I'm definitely gonna make sure, because I was like so shy today. I was like, no, it's okay. Like I will stay right here, and he's like, no, come on, like. Get on the court, take pictures. And I'm like, but now like hearing you say that, I'm like, no, like I need to appreciate, like, and he kept saying, he was like, take in the moment, like take in this moment. You're in a place where like people are like wanting to be here or whatever the case may be. So it's like, I just get like very, not shy because I'm a very like bubbly person, but everybody doesn't like that personality. Yeah. So I just try to be careful, like, to like bring it out, or I'll just be like, oh no, like you're fine or whatever. But once somebody's like, no, go, I'm like, bye, see you later. So, it's definitely interesting to see just like the different dynamics. So no, it was really great talking to you, honestly. That was a different, like so first of all, you're our first like, besides, well, I don't even consider myself sports, but like first sports person, like that's working in sports. That's working in sports. So it's really interesting to like hear your point of view and like obviously like what you do and stuff, and just realizing there are so many different outlets that you can go into when it comes to sports. Your photography, I do communication, so it's really interesting to see just like the different avenues and kind of like how you look into it and stuff. So no, thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
This was amazing. Seriously. But once again, guys, this is Dorman 101 Podcast. The podcast has everything and nothing to do about college. Once again, I'm your girl, Maya Gins.
And I'm your girl, Victoria.
And of course, we have Evan with us today. And it was such a great day, such a great episode. And I hope you guys tune in to our next one. And I hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Bye, guys.
Bye.